Yes, Rachel Reeves is attending. This is the Make UK annual conference. Make is the representative body for the manufacturing industry in the UK. About 20,000 members, ranging from small and medium-sized enterprises up to the real big players. Many of them in defence industries, BAE Systems, and the like. And when this conference was planned and Ms Reeves' speech was doubtless agreed, the theme here was going to be the wider industrial strategy the government has in mind and to aid her pursuit of growth. But defence is one strand of that industrial strategy, and of course defence has leapt to the top of the agenda after the diplomatic events of the last week, which means when Rachel Reeves arrived here to speak, her message in a fairly brief chat with the chief executive of the organisation was to the defence industries, those working in how the government could speed up procurement, something it's done as a result of the Ukraine war specifically, and how to adjust regulations so that extra money the government's committed, 2.5% of GDP by 2027, how that money can be spent most quickly and efficiently with value for money. But of course this is in the context of questions about the US's commitment to Ukraine and European security in general. And of course it begs the question about how this increase in defence spending, up to 3% by the end of the Parliament, Labour has promised, will be paid for. Points I was able to put to the Chancellor in a question we can hear now. You've made a commitment to 2.5% of GDP spent on defence, rising to 3%. Are British taxpayers going to have to get used to the idea that Britain's defence and the support of Ukraine is going to mean more taxation? And could I ask, if you show that commitment in spending to the United States, British troops have already shown their commitment fighting and sometimes dying alongside American troops. Do you trust that the President and his Vice President will make good on their commitment to European and British security?
First of all, we set out the plan to get to 2.5% of GDP spent on defence in this Parliament. It's the biggest increase in defence spending since the Cold War. That is fully costed and fully funded by a commensurate reduction in what we spend on international development assistance. The Prime Minister set out that we would look to take that to 3% in the next Parliament as economic and fiscal circumstances allow. But I will never play fast and loose with the public finances, and I will always explain where the money is going to come from. But I think you should note that it was through spending reductions elsewhere that we were able to fund this increase in defence spending. That was the choice that we made rather than increasing taxation. At the last week, when the Prime Minister met President Trump and Vice President Vance, the American President made his commitment, renewed his commitment to Article 5 of NATO, which is really important. As I said to Stephen earlier, the UK and the US, in terms of security and defence, are closely intertwined. They are our closest partners on defence and security, and that will continue to be the case. So the shift in defence and security priorities as a consequence primarily of changes in the attitude of the White House poses a big headache for Rachel Reeves. She's got to find more money to meet the short-term commitment, 2.5%, and even more by the end of the Parliament in budget and public finance, which, you know, are already squeezed. There is another challenge she faces, because it isn't just the real war in Ukraine that Donald Trump has upended. He started a trade war overnight, or continued it, by imposing tariffs on the US's biggest trading partners, Canada, China and Mexico, which will have implications for everyone and for the global trading position and how it affects the UK. And it was interesting that Ms Reeves was asked about whether she believed the UK could escape tariffs from the US. We heard Donald Trump say as much, indicate as much to Keir Starmer last week in the Oval Office. Rachel Reeves echoed that, but she did concede that disruption to global trade on the scale that is implied by what Donald Trump and his administration have done will affect the UK economy. So this is a tough time to be a Chancellor of the Exchequer, although she would concede nothing like as difficult as being in government in Ukraine.
All right, Paul, for now, thank you for that.